Joe Butch. I've built 2 time machines with the help of a few buddies. And
I'm Steve Layton. I've also built a time machine with the help of plenty of people. But yeah, we'll get into it and how much and what it takes to build a time machine.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a couple slides to share, and then we can just free-form this and ask Q&A questions and whatever you guys want and talk about the experience of owning and driving a DeLorean time machine. So again, first thing, none of this would be possible without the community. There is very, very talented prop makers that help with this. There's very talented machinists, and everyone is really good in this community to help with information and share information and help building props. And I know I could not have gotten the car how accurate it is without that help. Because right now, you never get to 100% done. It's like you get to 99% and you stay there forever. But like everything that's on my car is screen accurate to the movie car, which is currently in Los Angeles at the Peterson Museum. We'll start fluxing like it's about the time travel in time. There's another thing called the SID on the driver's side that starts fluxing with the, it's kind of like those stereo lights that go up and down in green, yellow, red. It all does everything exactly the same, and then what happens is the time circuits will change, so the time you entered will turn into your present time. And when you restart the car, it actually says that you're out of plutonium. It did its whole time travel event. So it's very cool. It's very engineered amazingly well, and like none of this was possible, 10 years ago or so. And now it's amazing what the car is able to do.
Yeah, and those props anyone here could go buy them from movieproplect.com and just have that entire setup. Like we know plenty of people that'll buy it with no intention of building the car. They just want all the main things, and you can set it and play with it, and you'll give yourself a nice amount of debt, which is fine.
Yep. And if you if you want to start your build, if you're building a time machine, start a light, you can start with buying those props. You get to play with them, so you get a DeLorean.
And you start with the stuff that everybody knows. Like outside of me, Joe, and all the other crazy people that have just been obsessed with this car since we were little kids, you can build it so that people think it's awesome to see it, and then work on it as you go, because it'll look done to anyone that's not obsessed with it. So you kind of get the enjoyment of it and let other people enjoy it while you're still building it.
Yeah. So going on. So where do you even find the DeLorean? That's a question I get asked a lot. Directly from the DeLorean Motor Company, and they have a couple different locations across the United States. Where the first one I won't talk about the first one, but the second one I bought, I got that right from DeLorean. The previous owner actually had it in a museum. It had 9,000 miles on it when I got the car. Converted it to a time machine, which DeLorean purists weren't too happy about. But that's why I got the car. And this the second one that I bought, I can tell more about that story later, is I found someone on Facebook Marketplace that was selling it in the DeLorean group, and I drove to South Carolina and picked it up and drove it home. It was very reliable. Parts are readily available because the little backstory there is they made 9,000 DeLoreans approximately. There's about 6,000 that still exist in the world. Probably about 4,500 that are still in like a condition that you would want. And when John DeLorean, got all of the stuff that happened to him happen, he was planning on making 35,000 DeLoreans approximately in 1983. That never happened, but he made the parts to make 35,000 DeLoreans approximately. So what happened is a company in the United States bought all those parts, and there's a warehouse with brand new engines that never been used, doors, windows. You could build a brand new DeLorean from the frame up with parts that have never been on a car. And it's pretty rare for a classic car to actually be able to do that, because usually the car ends and then people will remake a part, but they never find like the original part again. So that's really cool about the DeLorean. The other thing to say is, what does a DeLorean even cost? So for the longest time, it cost approximately the same cost, adjustment for inflation that they cost in 1981. It was like, for the longest time you could buy a DeLorean for about $20,000, a really good one for around $30,000. My first one I bought for $18,000 in 2008. So it was, I should have kept it. Actually, I definitely should have kept it.
Should have kept the last one.
Yeah. And for the longest time, it stayed at that price point. Never really went far past $30,000. You can get one. I sold my first one for $13,000. What I sold it for. It caught on fire like a week later, so I got lucky there. But it's been the same. But then what happened is they all started going up crazily expensive. And what happened was nobody really wanted the car until kids from the 80s started getting adult money or nerd money. So now all the kids from the 80s are now 35, 40 years old, and that's when you can get your third car or that kind of toy car. So now where I I could have paid $30,000 for the car, they're going for $60,000 to $125,000 for the same car you could have got for $30,000 5 years ago.
Wow.
And part of the reason why is the parts are so. It depends on how accurate you want. If you want it screen accurate to the movie, you have to buy the part, and some parts have gone very, very expensive. So an example of this is this random part called a janitorial tank, and it's just in the back of the car. It's this little tube. It was for a McDouglas jet or something like that. And for the longest time, you could, if you had the part number, you can go on eBay and buy one for $50, and it would be there. Now, if you're trying to buy one, it's about $2,500 if you can find one. And I actually found somebody. I offered him $2,500. He sold it to me, and the next day he said, "I hate to do this to you, man, but I'm gonna refund you your money because I can't sell it to you," because he knew that he would never find another one for a cheaper amount, and he would not have it. So even then, it's hard to even buy it for $2,500, and that's across the board. There's so many parts like that that have gone skyrocketed in value as they get more rare, because you're looking for parts from the 50s, 60s, 70s for the most part.
Yeah, but now even with the super expensive stuff, everybody that had an original one made a casting of it.
Yep.
And to the naked eye, you can't really tell. And they're painted all custom to look exactly like the other parts. So whereas I didn't spend $2,500 for a janitorial, I paid somebody a couple $100, painted it myself, got the original labels, and now it looks like an airplane part.
And for the most part, like that piece and a lot of these pieces,
Yeah.
we're really doing it for ourselves. Like I was, my car is upstairs, which you could take a photo with, and I was like, the night before I had to bring it here, I was like till midnight trying to fix like these little parts, and my buddy said to me, he's like, I think it was you or Peter, but it was like you're doing this for yourself. Nobody else is gonna know the difference between this and this and this, because from the general look for it, it's a DeLorean time machine, and
Yeah, you see the vents, you see the plutonium, you see the time
yeah, it's
circuits.
a DeLorean time machine. I've gotten a time machine maker, and hopefully it becomes a
You
wash.
spend $200 for a piece of plastic that you're going to drill 2 holes into.
Yep. And then this is another cool. So this is the same cassette that's in the current restored car, and it's just a Kraco, stereo, and surprisingly not, you can find them on eBay. So I bought this one unused, brand new in the box for $134. Now they go for maybe a little bit more depending, but yeah, it's just random part that's like sitting on top of the dash. Other kind of obscure parts that you can find is like this bailout bottle, which was it's from like a Vietnam fighter jet, and just sits. They paint it and they put it in, right there on the back of the driver's seat. So like this is a clamp, right? This clamp goes right there, and then you can see it right there, right? that is the clamp that goes in. So I bought that part for a few $100, and then I find out about a few months later that when I actually tried to put it in the car, it is a ½ inch too big. So it's the same clamp, but it's slightly larger. So yeah. And so then I have to get rid of that part, and nobody wants to buy it because I'm not trying to sell wrong parts, but I advertise it as this is slightly too big, and some people are okay with that, and then it's searching and searching and searching for the actual right size, and it becomes really, really hard to find it. But you can find them if you search hard enough, but some parts are just impossible to find. This is another cool part. So this is a row-on control. It sits right behind the time circuits, and these were originally for from IBM computers, like the large ones from the 50s is what I've been told. And this has 3 prongs that you can see. It's really easy to find one with 4 prongs, but if you want one with 3 prongs, it's very hard. If you want one that's actually red, it's very, very hard to find that. So most people will find one that's 3 prongs and then just paint it red, because that's as close as you're going to get for the most part. And then other things like this dash compass. This is me being really it hurts me, but then I have to figure out how to solve for it. So I bought this dash compass, or this is the real car rather. So you can see how it is, there's the dash compass, that's what it looks like. But then if you look at this one, it has little triangles on top that the other one doesn't have. So the question is that good enough or not? And it's not. You need the one without the triangles there. And that's the level of detail that a lot of people in the community try to strive for. And you go crazy very quickly trying to do that, but that's the name of the game. It's similar to this. So I bought this speedo on the left. This is the speedometer that goes up to 88 miles per hour, and it works. It does an amazing job. It actually works with GPS, so it will actually tell you your real speed. And then I found this one available from another prop builder that actually has the correct serial port on the back. So that is, and this one's USB. So this is the correct one that wires and it connects to all the props. So I had to get rid of this one and then get this one after I've already paid $350 or so for this part, and I'm upgrading to this one, and then I have this other part. So this is a thing that happens over and over and over again. It's you find a part, and then you find a better part or a more accurate part, so you have to switch them out. And that's why you'll get to 99% and it's done, but it's not really done.
I said I was done last July.
I laughed at him when he said that.
I wrote a whole post, thanked the community, the whole thing. That day I drove to meet my wife and kids, play some mini golf, and I was pulling into the parking lot, my car stalled. Wouldn't start, got stuck waiting for AAA for 7 hours, and then it was in the shop for 6 weeks because I said it was done. So it's never done. I hate using that word, but it's terrible. And it didn't take, it's, the guys that work on these cars aren't, take it to just some random shop like you find. We all know people that work on DeLoreans specifically, and you go there and there's just a bunch of them in the shop, but it's not their full-time job. They have their regular gig and they get to the car when they get to it. So it's I was done, and then 6 weeks later, I get my car back and I'm crying the whole time because I just want to drive it, and it doesn't drive.
And the one thing about when you have to work on the car, so the engine is in the back, and so if you need to get to the engine, which I'm going to have to because my car showed overheating on the way here, is you have to take off part of the vent with an Allen key, and then take off some of the hoses to get in there. So it's it's not like I can just open the hood and check my oil. It is a 45-minute ordeal to get in there. Funny thing, I'll digress for a second and say, so I asked him and I'm sorry for telling the story to him now as he watches it.
Oh boy, this is great.
And I asked him, what makes you want the DeLorean time machine? Do you love the movies? He's like, yeah, movies are great, but it's gone up in value, but really, I'm doing it for my kids. My kids have been begging me for this car. And I was like, oh yeah, the kids love the movie? He's like, no. They wanted it ever since they saw Ready Player One.
I mean, it's great.
So I was almost going to be like, no DeLorean for you.
Sacrilege.
Yeah. But, it all worked out, and I told my wife, I'm going to sell this car, but, inflation is going to cost a lot more to build the second one, because I don't want to sell the DeLorean. If someone someone wants to buy my DeLorean, you know, I'll sell it for $250,000 now. That's probably actually almost fair market value, slightly inflated. But
Yeah, I'm getting buried in my, I tell my wife all the time, like, you can't sell it, you're gonna buy however many plots it takes, and you're gonna bury me in the ground. And that's not gonna happen, they're gonna sell it the second I die.
yeah.
Which is fine, and I
Yeah,
better die first.
I told the same thing. I told them they could do that. I told them sell it. This is like you know, tuition or something for 2 kids. I don't know. 3D parts. So
Cheat code.
that is a cheat code. You can 3D print almost anything you want. The issue is
Quality and durability.
quality and durability, exactly. Inside the car, if you park it in the sun, it gets incredibly hot, which means your 3D printed parts are going to melt and warp, and this doesn't really work in the end, especially when, you know, you want, you know, like the plutonium chamber, you want it to feel like it's lead lined, you know, make that metal sound when you touch it and whatnot. But, you know, if you want to just print some parts, there is files readily available in the Facebook group, and you can print yourself a Mr. Fusion or many other different parts, and it's definitely kind of a fun project to just do it and then play with the parts. But I would never put it on the car if I had to. I would say.
Unless you're gonna use a material that's cost more than buying the actual part. Like, you can 3D print with carbon fiber.
Sure.
And then you're gonna spend more to 3D print it than
Yep.
it would be to just go buy a coffee grinder on Amazon.
Exactly.
Just
Yep.
make it yourself.
Which reminds me that is a coffee grinder you can readily find on eBay very easily. That's built from. There's other parts that it connects to, but that's the basis of it. So then, what is it like to drive a DeLorean time machine? Is where I'll go next. You become an instant celebrity, and it's so much fun. It's a little scary at times. So like this is.
Is that Target or something?
This is outside Wegmans. So I was like, whenever I take the car, I drive it more often than you imagine to do my errands or anything. I'll go to the grocery store, I'll take the DeLorean. And when I come back, I have my phone ready because I just want to see, you know, what's going on with it. And
There's always people there.
there's always people there. I've had, you know, like literally like a horde of like 30 people outside Target once taking photos. And a lot of times they want to take photos of me with the car. And I'm like, really? You want me in the photos? They're like, yeah, you built the car. I'm like,
I'm just a guy with massive credit card debt.
yeah. So this is me outside Target in Melbourne. It's just, you know, it's a horde of people just like all like, wow. This is another funny shot of someone that sat outside her window to get a better angle. This is another like this lady. Also, I drive around with a 12-foot lightning rod sometimes.
Yeah. And no, we never get pulled over for actually doing anything wrong. Like, I have never put a real license plate on my car. Joe drives around with a 70-foot pole in the back. Like, they don't care. And if they do stop,
cops
you
actually
take
take
pictures.
photos. Yeah, cops actually take photos. I have my license plate is out time, like the movie, and I sharpied in the A in between. And I asked the cop, I'm like, this is cool. No one's gonna bother you with that. I was like, okay, awesome.
Could just put the actual out time plate on my car. That's just me.
Yeah, a lot of people actually drive around with a big plate.
Oh yeah, the
And
amount
that's
of,
perfectly fine too.
there's no like PA turnpike people in here, because the amount of tolls that have been skipped on the turnpike. 'Cause it's like, I had to drive around, I pulled in here, I trailered my car in, and I got here and there was too much gas in the car. So they're like, all right, cool, you have to go empty gas out of the car. So I just go drive around, and I didn't have my easy pass, so I'm just going up and down the turnpike like, well, these are all free because it's just a barcode plate, the Back to the Future 2 movie, so it just has the little 2015 barcode that's getting scanned by Easy Pass. I'm like, sorry guys, I'm just going free ride on the turnpike. Well, come get me.
Yep. But yeah, it's fun. A funny story. So I said it's a lot of fun. It's always scary too, though. So I had I'm driving my DeLorean. I'm on 422, and which is like a local highway, and I use my hands as visuals. So I'm driving. This car drives up next to me. I'm in this car, in this side, and he gives me like the, hey, nice car, and I'm like, cool. And then he goes up in front of me like this, like so he's like, you know, a car and a half like in front, and then he does one of these moves.
People drive, and it's never a passenger. Like anytime someone's really excited, it's like obviously they're driving. Like I took my car down to a Phillies game during the Fan Expo birthday. I was in the field driving him around, which he fit in the car. That was awesome. But driving down, a guy with a pickup truck goes up on the median on 95 and cuts across my car and misses it about, I don't know, 3 to 5 feet. Almost 2 years of work just gone. And then I went home and I was like, told my wife, I'm gonna buy a trailer. Because I normally would rent one if it was a far enough away gig, but the fact that I almost just lost the whole car, and there's 0 airbags. There's no safety features in the car when it was first made, let alone now it's just
The
metal
most advanced thing that we
everywhere.
had at the time was like
Power mirrors.
I think ABS.
Yeah, no power steering. Power mirrors though.
No power steering.
But yeah, almost had my car completely wrecked on the way to an event. Like I'm never driving it on 95 ever again. I'll drive it around where I live. I'm up in the Huntington Valley area, so I'm not far. But people on the highway, they just don't. I mean, and anywhere, they just drive and then they immediately forget that they're driving a car. And it's
For the longest time, my wife did not want me to have a DeLorean because it was like, it's not safe. There's no airbags, nothing.
Super
I'm like,
unsafe.
no. It's very safe.
But-
because everyone's looking at you, that means they're not going to hit you because they're looking at you. It's
the
good
opposite.
logic. Even as this is me inside McDonald's, even as a regular DeLorean, it just gets just as much attention. Any other questions?
Sure.
Do you know of any DeLorean purists that have ever tried to get one of the time machines and convert it back to a DeLorean?
No, but we're both exclusively banned from the DeLorean Fanatics group, which there's, I don't even want to tread lightly. Like they're just like, it's like a dictatorship where it's like you go in there, it's like it's my car, I can do whatever I want, and it's because I've drilled holes into my car. Yes, you can fix it, but anyone that's building it, to reverse it would probably cost more than it took.
Yeah, it is worth
to
more
do
as a
it.
time machine.
Oh yeah.
You would have to be like really just hating
But
on
yeah,
Back to the Future.
the purists and these people, they're out there and they fully think that the car is still kind of made available and you can get parts, and don't think the movie had anything to do with it. Which is like if Back to the Future didn't exist, the DeLorean would have just been like any other, 1-2 year model car that just disappeared. But yeah, I mean it's because of that movie that car can still be maintained, purchase parts. Like Steve Wynn, the current owner of DeLorean Motor Company out west. Like that wouldn't have happened. You wouldn't have bought that without, like, part of it was because of the Back to the Future factor. Like it's not the sole reason, but if that franchise didn't ever exist, the car.
I posted a photo in that Facebook group of me drilling into the fender,
Kicked out immediately.
and I got kicked out immediately. And there was like a new rule was added that there's no DeLorean gore.
The guy that runs the page doesn't even own a DeLorean. Doesn't even have one. Has no plans to buy one, but just likes to be Facebook dictator boy. And I'm not even gonna say his name because I'm gonna post this and he'll know who he is. Sir.
I lived. I'm sorry.
Oh no, but yeah, the purists don't like it, but really it's, 99% of people. It's just like, it's your car, do whatever you want, go nuts. And it's my car, I don't even care if everyone else hated it. Well, I did it for me, I'm happy I built it.
Yep. Last thing I'll say is if you want to get a photo of my car, inside photo, I will give anyone the promo code Great Scott, and you can get $10 off.